It was past midnight. Rain poured outside, hitting the old metal roof like falling nails. Inside the cabin, Jack sat alone by the fire, drinking lukewarm coffee and listening to the storm. The forest outside was quiet. Too quiet. Then came the knock. It was soft at first, then louder. 3 slow knocks. Jack froze. No one ever came this far out into the woods. He hadn't seen another face in weeks. He stood slowly, grabbed his old rifle from the wall, and walked toward the door. Another knock. Who's there? He called out. No answer. He opened the door halfway and saw her. A woman stood in the rain, holding something wrapped in a soaked blanket. Her long black hair stuck to her face. Her dress was torn, one eye swollen. She looked like she'd been running for hours, but it was her voice that hit him hardest. "Just one night with me," she said. Her lips trembled. "Feed my daughter, please." Jack looked down at the bundle. A small girl, maybe 4 or 5, pale blue skin shaking from the cold. His eyes narrowed. "That wasn't a normal child. You're not human," he muttered. The woman didn't deny it. She just hugged the child tighter and lowered her head. "I'll go if you want," she whispered. "But she hasn't eaten in 2 days." Jack stared at her, then back at the kid. He didn't know why, but something inside him cracked. He stepped aside. "Get in." She walked in slowly, dripping on the wooden floor. Jack closed the door and locked it. The cabin felt smaller now. The woman knelt near the fire and unwrapped the child. Jack grabbed some leftover stew from the stove and handed it over. The girl sniffed it, then ate like she hadn't seen food in days. "What's your name?" Jack asked the woman. She hesitated. "Lena." "And the girl?" "Her name is Zara." Jack sat on the opposite side of the fire, watching them. "Why are you here?" Lena didn't look up. "We were escaping." "From who?" "Everyone." Jack didn't push further. Lena peeled off her wet jacket. The firelight hit her skin too smooth, too perfect. Her features shimmered for a second, shifting slightly. Not fully alien, but not human either. Jack kept his hand near the rifle. She noticed. "If I was dangerous," she said softly, "you'd be dead already." That didn't comfort him much. Lena touched Zara's head gently. The child leaned against her, already half asleep. Jack stood and poured her a cup of coffee. "You don't look like the violent type." "But that's a weird thing to say." "I've had to say weirder things to survive," she replied. For a moment, there was silence. Only the fire crackling in the wind outside. Then Zara opened her eyes and spoke directly into Jack's head. "Thank you." Jack jumped to his feet, heart pounding. "You hear that?" He barked. Lena looked at him calmly. "She speaks through thoughts. It's part of her nature." "Hell no," Jack said, backing up. "What is she?" Lena stood. Her eyes were sad but strong. "She's my daughter. She didn't choose to be born like this." "Neither did I." Jack's hands shook. He'd fought in the war against the aliens. He'd lost friends, brothers, and now one of them was in his cabin with a half-breed child, and he'd just let them in. He looked at Zara again, her tiny body now peaceful, breathing steady by the fire. She looked innocent. "Why me?" Jack asked. "Why here?" Lena stared into his eyes. "Because I heard you were kind." Jack said nothing. He didn't believe in kindness anymore. Not after what the world had turned into. Then, suddenly, a growled outside. Low, deep, not human. Jack grabbed his rifle and walked to the window. In the dark woods, a pair of glowing yellow eyes. Watching. Waiting. He turned to Lena. "Did you bring someone here?" Lena's face went pale. "They found us. Question. Should Jack protect them? Or turn them in? Asterisk. The glowing eyes were still out. There. Jack stepped back from the window and checked his rifle. 2 bullets left. If it came to a fight, this wouldn't be enough. Lena was holding Zara tightly. The child was silent, eyes closed, but her breathing had changed. Slower. Too slow. She's scared, Lena whispered. Jack frowned. That thing out there. What is it? Lena didn't answer right away. She just sat closer to the fire. Her wet dress still clinging to her body, steam rising from her shoulders. The firelight made her skin look like glass. Smooth, flawless, but almost too perfect. Jack stared. She caught him. You're not very subtle, are you? She said, raising an eyebrow. Jack looked away, clearing his throat. I've seen a lot of strange things. But you're different. Lena leaned forward. Different scares people. That's why they chase us. Jack didn't reply. He just walked to the door and dropped the heavy lock bar into place. You said they found us. Who's they? Lena's expression shifted. The soft sadness disappeared. Hunters, she said coldly. Bounty hunters, not human, not alien. Just monsters who track anything rare and sell it. She looked at Zara. She's worth a fortune to them. Jack raised a brow. Your daughter? She's not just mine, Lena said quietly. She's the first of her kind. Jack felt his stomach drop. Wait, what are you saying? Lena stood slowly, her back arched, her form stretching. Shifting. She didn't grow taller, but her outline blurred. Her face shimmered slightly, like a glitch in reality. For a moment, Jack saw something not human. Not quite alien either. Something else. And then it was gone. Lena looked like a woman again. Jack gripped his rifle tighter. She walked up to him, close, too close. She looked up into his eyes. I'm not here to hurt you, Jack. I didn't ask to be like this. I didn't ask to fall in love with a human. That stopped him cold. You. What? Lena nodded. Zara's father. He was kind like you. He didn't survive. Jack took a deep breath. His hand was still on the trigger, but it was shaking now. I shouldn't have let you in, he muttered, and yet you did. She replied, almost teasing. Maybe you're not as cold as you think. She turned away, walking back to Zara. Her hips moved with quiet confidence. Jack watched her, confused, angry, at her. Or at himself. The wind outside howled again. The yellow eyes were gone, but something new had taken their place. A sound. A hum. Faint, mechanical. A drone. Lena's head shot up. They're scanning. Jack cursed under his breath. If they lock onto the heat signatures, we're screwed. Lena stood, picked up Zara, and faced him. We can't stay here. This is my land, Jack growled. I'm not running. Lena stepped close again. Then don't run. But don't let them take her. Her lips were inches from his now. Help us survive the night. I'll give you whatever you want. Jack's throat went dry. Is that a threat or an offer? She smiled faintly. You decide. Then the drone buzz grew louder. Lights flashed outside the window. White and red beams swept across the forest. A robotic voice crackled over a loudspeaker. You are harboring a fugitive. Surrender now, and you won't be harmed. Jack raised his rifle. Too late for that. Cliffhanger. Outside, shadows moved through the trees. But they weren't human. They weren't even alive. Comment question. Would you trust Lena or turn her in for 500,000 credits? A sharp light cut across the window again. The cabin lit up red, then white, then dark again. Jack crouched beside the door, breathing slow. His finger stayed near the trigger, but he didn't shoot. Not yet. Lena sat with Zara behind the fireplace, whispering something in a language Jack didn't understand. The little girl's skin shimmered faintly in the dark, almost glowing. Jack glanced at her. That's not normal. Lena didn't look up. She's scared. She's glowing. Does that when she's scared? Jack shook his head. This is insane. Outside, the voice came again. Last warning. Turn over the fugitives, or we enter by force. Jack turned to Lena. You gonna explain why they're calling you that? Lena stood slowly. Because they want what I carry. And they don't care how they take it. Jack frowned. What do you mean? She held his gaze. I'm not just an alien, Jack. I'm classified property. He blinked. What? She stepped closer. They created me in a lab, modified me, trained me, then locked me in a cage. I escaped. And the kid, Zara, is the one thing they couldn't control. Jack stared at her for a long time, then turned to his cabinet. He pulled out a black box. When he opened it, a small screen lit up, flickered, then displayed a list of active bounties. He tapped through the interface. One listing had a blinking red alert. Subject: Lena 7 status. Highly valuable fugitive reward. 500,000 credits. Dead or alive. Jack's blood went cold. He scrolled down. Another listing. Subject: Hybrid unknown. Child capture priority. Maximum reward. Uncapped warning. Potential reality. Breacher. Jack slammed the box shut. Reality breacher? What the hell is your daughter? Lena's jaw clenched. They think she's dangerous because they don't understand her. She's not a weapon, she's just born different. Jack walked to the window again. The red dots were moving closer. He looked back at Lena. You lied to me. I told you I was running. You didn't tell me they were paying $500,000 to hunt you down. She stepped closer. If I did, would you still have opened the door? Jack didn't answer. He looked at Zara, her small face, her innocent eyes, then back at the gun in his hand. Outside, the whirring got louder. They're about to breach, Jack said. And I'm standing between a terrified little girl and a payday big enough to retire twice. Lena's eyes filled with something soft, not fear, not anger. Hope. You're not like them, she whispered. You don't know me. She stepped right up to him, pressed a hand against his chest. I can feel it. He wanted to push her away, but he didn't single quotes d. Instead, he walked to the door, loaded the second bullet, and looked over his shoulder. I hope you're right. Lena smiled faintly. I usually am. Crash! The door burst open. 3 armored figures rushed inside, glowing visors and pulse rifles ready. Jack dove behind the couch, opened fire. One went down. The others scattered. Lena held Zara tight, whispering fast, her voice shaking. One of the soldiers aimed at her just before Zara opened. Her eyes, they weren't eyes anymore. They were glowing galaxies. The air around her shimmered. The floor cracked. The soldier froze mid-step, then dropped to the ground, shaking violently. The last one turned to run too late. A blast of light shot from Zara's chest, silent and clean, like a whisper tearing through steel. He vanished. Gone. Nothing left but a burned shadow on the wall. The room went quiet again. Jack stared. Lena sat down slowly, holding Zara close. I told you, she said softly. She didn't choose to be born like this. Jack dropped the gun. Walked to the window. No more red dots. No more drones. Just rain. Heavy and quiet. He turned back to her. You still want shelter? Lena looked up. Double quotes. No, now I want something more. Cliffhanger. Outside, another ship descended, but this one was bigger. And it wasn't here for money. Comment question. What would you do with a child that could break reality? Asterisk. The cabin smelled like smoke and burnt metal. Jack wiped the blood from his cheek and kicked aside a broken helmet. The armored bodies were still twitching. Whatever Zara had done, it didn't just kill. It changed them. He looked at her. The little girl was sleeping now, curled up in Lena's arms, peaceful. You'd never guess she had just erased 2 men from existence. Lena sat beside the fireplace, her face pale, not from fear, but from what was coming next. They'll send more, she said. Jack nodded. I figured. But neither of them expected what came next. A low hum filled the sky. He stepped out onto the porch. Rifle raised dot above the tree line. Something massive blocked the stars. A ship. No, a fortress in the sky. Black, silent. Slow dot, then dash spotlights. Thousands of them dot, each beam scanning the forest like fingers looking for prey. Lena joined him, holding Zara tight dot. Her voice broke. That's not a bounty hunter ship. Jack stared up. Then who is it? Lena's lips trembled. It's my kind. Jack blinked. I thought you escaped them. I did. And now they're here? They're not here to rescue me, she said quietly. They're here to take Zara. The ship stopped above them, casting a shadow that swallowed the entire forest. A deep voice echoed from the sky, not through sound, but through thought. Surrender the anomaly, or face planetary cleansing. Jack's heart stopped. What the hell does that mean? It means, Lena said, they'll wipe this place from orbit if they have to. He turned and looked at her. You're telling me they'd destroy this entire forest, just to kill a little girl? Lena nodded slowly. She's not just a little girl to them. She's a glitch. A miracle. A threat. Zara stirred in her. Sleep glowing faintly again. Jack grabbed his gear and checked the old generator switch. We need to move. There's nowhere to go, Lena said. They'll track her energy signature. Jack gave her a look. I didn't ask for odds, I asked for time. Lena raised an eyebrow. You're still helping us? After all this? Jack smirked. You're in my cabin. That makes you my problem. The ground suddenly rumbled. A wave of pressure hit them, knocking branches from trees. In the distance, long silver pods dropped. From the sky, dozens of them, digging into the earth like spears. Out of each one, something stepped out. Not soldiers. Not machines. Something worse. Tall, thin, featureless. Hunters bred in labs. Obedient, silent, heartless. Lena whispered, exiles. Jack aimed his rifle. I don't like the name. They were created to hunt people like me, she said. They never stop. They don't feel. And they don't die easy. Jack glanced at Zara. Can she stop them? She's still just a child, Lena said. She doesn't even know what she is yet. Another tremor shook the ground. From the hill behind the cabin, one of the exiles appeared. Tall as the door. No eyes. No face, just moving forward, slow and steady, arms like bone blades. Jack didn't wait. He fired. The bullet hit center mass and bounced off like a pebble. The exile kept walking. Lena ran inside with Zara, slamming the door. Jack grabbed a stick of dynamite from the emergency kit and lit it with the fire. He stepped out. Come get her, you ugly bastard. He hurled the dynamite. Boom. The blast threw trees, rocks, everything in its path. But when the smoke cleared, the exile was still standing, burned, cracked, but alive. Then, Zara's eyes opened. She was awake. And crying, tears of light. The ground beneath her pulsed. The air inside the cabin began to shake. Lena backed up. She's not ready. Zara stood up, glowing like a star. Her voice echoed not from her mouth, but from inside every wall of the cabin. Stop hurting my mother. And everything outside froze. The trees, the exiles, even the rain mid-air. Time. Stop. Jack stood in the doorway, stunned. Zara floated an inch off the ground, her tiny hands glowing with stars. Then, just like that, she fainted, and everything snapped back into motion. The exile outside collapsed to the ground, dead. Lena rushed to catch Zara. She looked at Jack with wide eyes. She's growing too fast. This is bad. Jack looked out at the army still marching toward them. I'd say it's just getting started. Cliffhanger. In orbit. Something much larger began to charge. A weapon not meant for war, but for erasure. Comment question. Would you fight to protect her, or run before the planet burns? Zara's small body lay still on the cabin floor. Steam rose from her skin. Her eyes were closed, her arms limp, and her glow fading fast. Lena held her tightly, whispering her name again and again. Zara, Zara, breathe. Jack stood frozen. In the doorway, his ears still ringing from what he had just witnessed. She had stopped time, not slowed it. Not bent it, stopped it. He'd seen aliens do strange things in the war. But nothing like this. She's overheating, Lena said. Panic creeping into her voice. Her body can't hold this much energy yet. Jack ran to the kitchen and pulled out a pack of thermal gel from the emergency box. He tossed it to Lyn. She tore it open and rubbed it across Zara's forehead. The gel hissed, steam rising. And for a moment, the child exhaled, a weak breath. She's alive, Lena whispered. Jack looked at the girl. Then out the window, the exiles were regrouping, at least 24 now, silent, marching, unstoppable, and behind them, the sky was pulsing with violet energy. The orbit weapon was charging. You said they'll erase the planet? Jack asked. Lena nodded. They've done it before. Jack loaded his rifle again. Then we've got one last stand. Lena looked at him. You still don't owe us anything. He looked back at her, at Zara. No, but I already made a choice. She stepped closer, hand on his arm, her voice low. Why, Jack? Why help us? He stared at her lips, then at her eyes, and shrugged. Because the last time I let something innocent die, it haunted me every night. Lena leaned her forehead against his, just for a second. Then she whispered, she's changing. Faster than I expected. But it's not just power, it's memory. What do you mean? She's remembering things she's never seen. She's speaking languages no one taught her. She dreams of stars that don't exist yet. Jack frowned. You think she's seeing the future? I think she is the future. Suddenly Zara's body jolted. She gasped awake, her eyes glowing white. Not blue. Not violet. White. Like starlight. And then her voice changed. It wasn't her small voice anymore. It was deeper, wiser, ancient. I am not Zara, she said slowly. I am becoming. Lena's mouth fell open. What's happening to her? Zara stood on her own now, eyes staring into nothing. I see them. I see the exiles. I see the ship above. And I see you, Jack. Jack blinked. Me? Zara turned to face him. You are the fork. One path leads to survival, the other to extinction. He stepped back. What do I do? Zara reached out and touched his forehead with her glowing hand. Suddenly visions. Fire, war, earth crumbling, but also light. Unity, peace. And in every version of the future. She was at the center, and so was he. Jack fell to his knees, sweating, breathing hard. Zara collapsed again. Lena caught her before she hit the ground. She's evolving, she said, faster than her body can handle. Jack stood up slowly, gripping the wall. She said I'm the fork. What the hell does that mean? It means, Lena said, you decide if the galaxy burns or survives. Before Jack could answer, the roof exploded. A beam of purple energy tore through the treetops, frying everything in its path. The ship had fired a warning shot. Next time it wouldn't miss. Exiles rushed the cabin. Jack grabbed his rifle. Lena stood, eyes glowing now too. Her skin rippled like liquid armor. She looked at him. I have one last defense, she said. But if I use it, I won't survive. Jack's voice cracked. No, there's another way, Lena smiled. You're sweet, but sweet doesn't stop what's coming. She turned toward the door. The exiles were seconds away. Cliffhanger. Lena whispered something to Zara and stepped outside, alone. And then her body began to burn like a star. Comment question. Would you let someone you love sacrifice themselves if it meant saving the world? Asterisk. The sky burned silver. Jack stumbled outside, shielding his eyes. The trees around the cabin were glowing, catching fire without flame. Time itself felt slower, heavier. Lena stood in the clearing. Her body wasn't just glowing anymore. It was cracking. Light leaking out of her like a cracked shell ready to burst. The exiles paused. Even they feared what they saw. Jack yelled, "Get back here! Don't do this!" Lena turned to him, smiling through pain. "It's okay. This is how I was built, for one final burst." Zara watched from the doorway, weak and shivering. Jack ran to Lena, but the heat was too much. The closer he got, the harder it was to breathe. "You'll die." He shouted. "I was never meant to live forever," she said softly. "Then let me fight." She looked at him, really looked at him, and whispered, "You already are." Then, her voice reached his mind directly. "Protect her, not me." The light around her exploded. The exiles screamed, if they could scream. Their bodies disintegrated into dust, pulled into the light. A silent flash, a pulse, a wave of white heat that leveled everything in 100-meter radius. And then ... silence. When Jack opened his eyes, Lena was gone. Nothing remained, just ash, floating in the wind. He stood frozen, chest heaving. Zara ran to him, small arms wrapping around his waist. She didn't cry. "Not anymore." Jack dropped to his knees and held her tight. "She chose us," she said. He couldn't speak. He just nodded. But there was no time for grief. Above, the warship moved again. And then it spoke. "The traitor is eliminated. Surrender the hybrid anomaly immediately. Final warning." Jack stood up slowly, holding Zara's hand. He looked up at the giant machine in the sky, and then he saw it. A sleek, obsidian craft descending from the clouds. Faster, sharper, alien, but different from the others that had hovered silently above them. A single figure dropped down from its hatch. Tall, armored, blue-skinned, cold eyes, Lena's face. In male form. Zara gasped. "Uncle." Jack raised his gun. "I'm guessing you're not here to give condolences." The man stared at him. "I am Commander Vorthen of the Zealand Royal Guard. You harbor property of the Crown. Surrender her." "Now, she's a child," Jack growled. "She is a threat to reality, a living paradox. The longer she exists, the more unstable your universe becomes." Jack kept his gun aimed. "Then maybe the universe needs a little shaking." Vorthen's eyes flashed. "You think you can protect her, human? You're nothing. A species built on failure." Jack took a breath, eyes steady. "Funny that nothing just watched your best soldiers get fried by a single mom who loved her daughter more than life." Vorthen took a step forward. "I offer you one chance. Move aside." Jack looked at Zara, her eyes full of tears, her small hand squeezing his tighter. Then he turned to the commander and said just 3 words, "Come and try." Cliffhanger. Vorthen raised his hand, and Jack began to levitate, choking midair. Zara screamed, and the ground cracked open beneath them. Comment. Question. Would you choose love or loyalty to your own kind, even if your kind calls you a mistake? Asterisk. Jack was choking. His boots left the ground. His limbs went stiff. He couldn't breathe. Commander Vorthen's hand stayed raised, fingers tight, his cold, alien eyes watching without emotion. Zara screamed. The ground beneath her cracked deep, lines of glowing blue energy stretching out like veins in the earth. Her small hands trembled, her eyes blazed white. "Let him go," she shouted. Vorthen didn't move. "You do not give orders. You are a fault in the system." Jack's vision blurred. Blood rushed to his head. His grip on the rifle slipped. And then it snapped. The air shattered. Zara screamed so loud it wasn't sound, it was vibration. Pressure, time bending around her cry. The trees bent outward. The cabin cracked down the middle. Vorthen's hand flinched, and Jack hit the ground hard. Coughing. Zara floated into the air, glowing brighter than she ever had. "You killed my mother," she said, voice echoing across the sky. "I am your blood," Vorthen replied. You were never meant to exist. I am fixing a mistake. Zara's body cracked with power energy swirling around her like a storm. Her hair floated. Her skin became light. But her voice was calm. She gave me life. He gave me shelter. You gave me nothing. Vorthan raised his hand again. Then you choose extinction. Zara tilted her head. No. I choose him. She raised her hand, tiny, glowing, trembling, and pointed it at Vorthan. Light burst forward, not as a weapon, but as memory. His memory. Suddenly Vorthan saw her birth, saw Lena holding her, saw her first steps, her laughter, her tears. He saw what love looked like. He felt her heartbeat. He dropped to his knees. No. Tears welled in his eyes, real ones. I remember her. Zara floated down, standing just inches from him. I'm not your mistake, she whispered. I'm her daughter. Vorthan bowed his head and disappeared. Not exploded, not erased. Just gone, folded into the light. Silence fell over the forest. The ship above paused. Then turned. And vanished into the stars. The war was over. Jack stood shakily, looking at Zara. She was still glowing faintly, but her eyes were tired. You okay, kid? He asked. Zara nodded. I think I'm done glowing for today. He chuckled, pulled her close, and held her like she was his own. Your mom, he said, was the bravest person I ever met. Zara leaned against his chest. I know, she picked you. He smiled and wiped a tear from his face before she could see it. Epilogue. Years later, a new Earth embassy hovered above the rebuilt city of Geneva. Inside, a teenage girl stood before the Galactic Council. Human, but more than human. I'm Zara, she said into the mic. Born of war, raised by love. I speak today not for humans or aliens, but for all children born between worlds. She looked out at the crowd, and I was given shelter by a man no one expected to be a hero. The room fell silent, and somewhere far away, in a quiet cabin surrounded by trees, an old man sat on his porch, smiling. The E&D comment question: did Jack make the right choice? Or was there another way? Asterisk.